Hey, what's up, guys? I'm BTC, and today we're going to talk about troll picks in Overwatch. Now, if you don't know what a troll pick is, it's basically when a player decides to play a certain character that, for the most part, is considered so bad that the player is not really taking the match seriously, that they're more interested in just goofing off than they are in actually winning the game. Now, depending on who you talk to, their idea of what is and isn't a troll pick might change. But for the most part, there are three characters that almost always fit into that category, and that's going to be Torbjorn, Symmetra, and Bastion. Now, over on the official Blizzard Overwatch forums, Jeff Kaplan actually responded to a question about these troll picks. So let me quickly read to you what Jeff Kaplan said about it. He said, "It's never our intention to have a hero be perceived as a troll pick, but that will inevitably happen sometimes. Let's say that we agreed that all the heroes were perfectly balanced." He puts in quotes, "Just pretend with me." Come on, Jeff, we know. "It's never been our intention to have a hero be perceived as a troll pick, but that will inevitably happen sometimes. Let's say that we all agreed that all the heroes were perfectly balanced." And then in parentheses, he says, "Just pretend with me." Trust me, we will have to pretend. "Even if we touch nothing, eventually the balance would shift over time due to evolving playstyles, strategies, and meta trends. A lot of us like pro sports and tend to think of those games, like soccer, football, hockey, basketball, as, quote, timeless. But if you follow those games closely, the leagues have had to make minor tweaks to the game to keep them fun and balanced over time. It's a weird analogy, but it's very similar to hero balance in a game like Overwatch. In those pro sports, players and coaches evolved their ways of thinking about the game that required the game itself to change at times. We will absolutely do our best to make sure all of our heroes are viable. With so many heroes, I do believe the player base will, at times, decide that certain heroes are out of fashion and therefore deem them as troll picks. Sometimes this will be very valid, and sometimes it will be perception. Both Torb and Symmetra are being looked at right now. We want to try to improve them in ways that make them more fun to play, more enjoyable to have on your team, and try to make sure that they're not infuriating to play against. We wrestle with the issue that players get upset at us when they perceive the meta is stale and certain heroes are not viable. Yet it's also very disruptive to the player base for us to make changes. It's a bit of a catch-22, but we do our best to responsibly look at all heroes all the time and make sure nothing is terribly unbalanced or worse, unfun. So that's what Jeff Kaplan, one of the Overwatch developers, had to say about the whole troll pick situation. But there's a lot of issues with what he said. So let's go back real quick. He said, "I do believe the player base will at times decide that certain heroes are out of fashion and therefore deem them as troll picks. Sometimes this will be valid, and sometimes it will be perception." See, the big problem with this is who Blizzard is trying to balance the game for. And it looks like they're trying to balance the game for everyone, which usually ends up in a disaster. You can't balance a game for low-end players, middle players, and top-end players and expect characters to actually work. The thing is, the reason why the same characters, McCree, Reinhardt, Diva, Lucio, Mercy, Zenyatta, the reason why the same characters are picked over and over and over again in these tournaments is because they are objectively better than their counterparts. Now, not all the characters that I listed are the only ones that are used, but there are some notable exceptions that almost never show up in any of the high-level games or in any of the serious competitive ladder matches. And those characters are going to be the ones that were mentioned, like Torbjorn, Symmetra, Bastion, and to some extent, you can throw in Widow, Hanzo, and even Junkrat into the mix. You know, the thing is, because Blizzard is trying to balance the game on both ends of the scale, all the way down at the bottom and all the way at the top, you're necessarily going to have a lot of problems where characters are going to be way less powerful than some of their counterparts for the sake of this across-the-board balance of all the different skill brackets. A great example is Torbjorn. His turret auto-aims, so at lower skill levels, it's great because you can actually do damage even if you're not necessarily good at the game. But at the high end, or even in the average to high end, the turret is garbage because the players in that area, the high-end players, can aim themselves, so they don't need the turret to do it for them. But the turret, because it doesn't move, because it's stationary, it's very, very easy to destroy, and therefore it's completely useless at higher levels of play. Now, he also said that they wrestle with the issue that players get upset at them when they perceive that the meta is stale and that certain heroes are not viable. And again, this feeds right back into what I was saying. As long as they're trying to balance the game for all players of all skill levels, they're going to continually run into this problem because, again, if you make Torbjorn too powerful, if you make him good enough to use in competitive, if you make him good enough to use at a high skill level, then he is going to be absolutely godlike in the average and lower skill brackets. I don't want to go too much into the balancing discussion because there is a lot of information there. I do want to make another video just talking about the balancing, what Blizzard is doing, what they could do, what other companies have done. To give you a quick example, I know people say, oh, there's 21 characters, it's difficult to balance them. Sure, but look at a game like Dota 2. During the last major tournament they had, the International for 2016, there was 110 characters that were available in the Captain's Mode pick. Of those, during the entire course of the main tournament, 105 of them were picked. So, out of 110 characters, 105 of them were viable for a tournament that I think was like, up in the $18 million range for the total prize pool. So the biggest esports tournament in the history of ever, 110 characters and 105 of them were viable. That is crazy. And Blizzard only has 22 if Sombra ever comes out. 21 of them. And they got to figure out what they're going to do for balancing, because as long as they keep doing this, it's basically going to be, there's going to be troll picks. Certain characters are going to be better than others, objectively better, and those bad characters are going to be looked at in a bad light. And I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. But anyways, let me know what you guys think about all of this troll pick stuff. What characters do you personally think of as a troll pick? Leave it in the comment section below. That is going to be it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe because there's lots more Overwatch. Remember, always blame the controller because it's never your